now we are unpacking two stories that strike at the heart of governance and public trusts. The federal government, through the instrument of the RMAFC, is reportedly considering a pay raise for political office holders, while civil society organizations are calling for an independent panel to select the next INEC chair. Two issues, one question. What does this say about our national priorities with inflation biting hard, youth unemployment soaring, and public services gasping for breath? Is now the time to reward the political elite?
And when it comes to our democracy, can we afford to keep the appointment of the INEC chair in the hands of the presidency? Or is it time to hand that power to the people through an independent, transparent process? Now, this and many more questions have been asked not just by Nigerians, but of course, from interested stakeholders. Today, we would table this right here on Breakfast Central because it is indeed a very interesting and developing story. So joining us for this discussion, we do have public affairs analyst, of course, the one who talks tough. We have Mr. Theophilus Akatugba, who joins us here live. Thank you so much for being here, not for the front pages, but for a very pertinent conversation. And we also have a human rights advocate and the one who will not stop, but of course continue to speak like the ticking clock. Mr. Peter Akah joins us this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
The difference in their surnames is the Tuba and then they both start Akatugba.
Akah and Akatugba.
Oh, wow.
You're wise, you're wise.
Wow, I should introduce you too as the
as the wise one.
Anyway,
great to have you on the set.
Great to have
My
you.
pleasure.
Go ahead.
So I think a good way to begin the conversation would be, we're looking at two different issues here. RMAFC saying that they want to increase salaries and calls for an independent INEC, a truly independent INEC. I think I'll begin with Mr. Akatugba. The opposition, the PDP, the ADC, and even many of the Nigerians have criticized the statement by RMAFC saying that what they're doing or their proposition is constitutional, is legally backed. So how does this come across? There are those who also argue that it is tone deaf, especially because of the current reality of the everyday Nigerian. How do we find that balance, even when they claim that it is legal? And do you think it's tone deaf?
Okay, let me start by saying when I heard it the first time, my thought about salaries generally in Nigeria is that we have underpaid ourselves into incubation of poverty. What do you have? You have a country that continues to develop poverty. And when we see the numbers, we keep using it for political reasons. Everything we do in Nigeria is poverty, development, culture. We are not interested in bringing people out of poverty. We've underpaid ourselves for years. And so because the politicians are trying to get a slice of it, we are making noise. Are we really well paid generally in Nigeria? No, we are not. There is this idea, we lived in a period of general subsidy. So we had the false impression that Nigerians were able to get by with the meager salaries we paid over the years. And so when you move to even 70, recently a United Nations or United States body has said that our 70,000 is not going to develop anything. It's not going to bring people into a living wage situation. So generally speaking, we have gone in the wrong direction for so long. Now, everywhere in the world, when you propose increment in salaries for public office, it's always going to receive a backlash. If you compare right now Ghana and Nigeria, Ghanaian parliamentarian politicians, they earn close to 4.something million per month. Naira equivalent, which is about 30 to 40,000 Ghana cedis, which is what they earn per month. And when you compare that with the president of Nigeria's salary of 1.5, it's ridiculous because there's no way. Obasanjo found it difficult to get Okonjo-Iweala to serve in Nigeria because the salaries were not compensatory enough compared to what she was doing. He had to go look for some United Nations arrangement in order to pay the remaining to keep her to work for Nigeria. So we have not done well over the years. What we need to look at is holistic reassessment of the salary scales in Nigeria. The 70,000, even though it's a 100% jump, is still inadequate. And for our public office holders, they are not going there because of that salary, because they know the privileges and the opportunities. The other perks that, in fact, even public office servants. I used to stay with a civil servant in Benin. I visited, and I knew that he must be earning a very meager salary in terms of his monthly pay. But what it cost us to keep him in office is alarming. He had 3 vehicles parked in front of his house every morning. One would take him away, one for his wife, one for his children. He has the Phillies is everything fueled, his telephone paid for, he was living on the country. So that salary is not even the issue.
So if you say now that we should review our salaries from top to bottom, and you're also saying that our public office holders, a number of them are living lavish lifestyles.
Absolutely.
Should that salary be an issue, especially because at the end of the day, they're able to meet their needs, they're able to live very comfortably,
It should
much
be,
more comfortably.
is it
than the
not
average
hypocrisy to say you pay somebody so meager and you put the burden of his life on the nation? Pay him well and let him take care of his needs so that he can be frugal. When you give somebody excessive petrol, he travels with...
Okay, so are you saying they should cut all those other excess?
Absolutely.
Benefits.
And give people proper salaries so that they can live well within their means, not now that they live so lavishly on the nation. Every public officer live lavishly beyond a means that he can afford. And even when he doesn't need to do it, he does it because it's free.
I'd like to bring Peter Akah into the conversation. The Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission was created by an act of parliament to do its job, and basically they're just doing their job. They haven't had a salary review in many years, and they feel, looking at what the economic indices are saying, it's time for an upward review of the president and public service holders. What's your take on this? Because they're also Nigerians.
I think it's unfortunate that what we call government in Nigeria is actually organized criminality. So the way Nigeria is structured is such that it is to support corruption and criminality at every level. And unfortunately, currently, Nigeria is in the hands of people who have no business in public office, because we have political businessmen who sometimes pretend to attend to issues of governance, but in the major part of it, see Nigerians as customers. The question is not in the increment of salaries, it is in the mischief and or the sincerity of peoples. If you ask an average Nigerian lawmaker today, what is your salary? Their normal salary, they will tell you it is about maybe 800,000, maybe 1 point something million. But they have a caveat that there is something they call collapse, that you are supposed to get certain allowances, so it is now collapsed into your monthly. So when they ask you what is your salary, they will call it the basic salary and not tell you what are the other additives to it. But for a government that came into power and found out that you have more than 100 million persons living in extreme and multi-dimensional poverty, after 8 calamitous years of the Buhari administration, and you took out subsidy with one reckless statement, you floated the naira, and you went into other economic, decisions without palliatives for the people, what should be our priorities at this time? If we want to stabilize, because as at now, what we are saying is that we have taken out subsidy for the poor and we are subsidizing the lives of the rich. So the president will tell you we have increased money and allocation to the state governors. What is being done with that amount that has been increased on or improved on? So across board, it is not just a matter of, is the president living on his salary, just as Mr. Akatugba rightly said? Are the senators or ministers living on their salaries? So when you create an avenue where people get public office and they see it as an opportunity to self-enrich, that I can use this as, look at the just recently concluded the ongoing Tokyo International Conference. You can see the feedback. The entire Nigerian stand was completely empty when other African countries had people manning them. What happened to the persons who went to the president? So every public office holder does not see it as a duty to service. So it is not about the salary. It is about what I can weaponize this office to get for myself.
On the TCAD, the empty booth, the presidency came out and said, look, they're not there for optics, that they're there for strategic engagement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so, but part of the strategic engagement is that you are going to man a stand. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs put out a statement saying that they are late or nobody is there because there's supposed to be an official inauguration of that stand. So every other African country had inaugurated and gone in, but Nigeria needed an official inauguration, just the same way we need to inaugurate 30 kilometers of a 700-kilometer superhighway. I'm sure 2 years into this office, we'll still need to inaugurate the renewed hope government for Nigerians to begin to feel good governance. If you cannot have the capacity to deliver, if you take 40 years, you would not deliver. Nigerians need to end this reign of governance.
I want us to look at, I want us to look at priorities. We've discussed priorities here in the past few weeks, and coincidentally, it's also come out in newspapers as well, where the papers have highlighted what priorities are looking like for the current administration. But in order not to focus solely on the presidency, because like I always say, they're subnationals. And of course, you also have the local government chairman, and then you don't forget, you also have the commissioners, you have the ministers. But it seems like, is everybody towing towards the same line of thought? Because that's what we're starting to see is looking like where priorities are focused not on really relieving the pain, but of course in doing something? Is everybody just trying to do something?
Yes, in a situation where you don't have very, reliable data. The average Nigerian government doesn't know the number of people it governs. It's a crisis situation when you just have to throw something. The way people throw money to the crowd, and anyone that picks it, and you say you are doing something. Maybe one guy picked all the money, and you say I threw money. The Nigerian situation is that our governance structures over the years have been very defective. We've lived a lie, and when the truth catches up with the nation, we begin to suffer. Nigerians are generally, we've had change of human beings in governance, and our Nigerian situation has never improved because our systems have not been created to develop, to grow. And over the years, we've fueled it. And what we now have is a crisis situation where whoever is in public office is a victim and is a criminal ab initio, no matter the good intention. You can't govern a people that have been so maltreated over the years and not be a victim when you come to take over. They will sacrifice you if you want to be a messiah.
So is it the system or the personnel?
No, the system. The system is made up of people, and we keep changing those in those offices, and we have not seen any respite. And so that's why I said we must take an evaluation. What have we practiced over the years? Number one, when you subsidize your economy the way we've done in 40 years, to resolve it would take sacrifice of blood. Unfortunately, we have not shared the kind of blood that we needed to share to really get wise. So we are still behaving as if we are spoiled children. We have misbehaved a lot. We have squandered our future for so many years. And so now, if we want to correct it, this type of pushbacks that we are seeing, it's going to happen. The president increased salaries by 70,000. What impact has that made now? It has not made any impact because the dip is so deep, the gap is so deep, the valley is so low that we have not been able to bring the people.
And let's also remember that there's only a number of Nigerians that the civil service employs. So the minimum wage does not apply to every single Nigerian.
It does. It's supposed to go across. It's supposed to be the minimum paid by any organization. But have you seen people applying it?
The organization, can they even afford it?
This is the point. So, because you have to have a society that has the middle class and a buying power to fuel businesses. People have manufacturing. Do they sell enough? Are people able to patronize them? Can't you see the general law in trade? That's why the American government fuels the economy and put money in your hand, say, spend this money. If you tell a Nigerian today, you put money in Nigerian hand, spend this money, it hits immediately at the central bank because it's got to pay some foreign because we import everything. Yeah. So government can't even give you money because even if they give you, do they have the dollar to support the avalanche of purchases? They'll buy more bread, that means more wheat will be imported. They'll buy more phones, that means they will import. So we must know that the country has misbehaved a lot. The Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission is saying the right thing, but the citizens are pushing back to say that, have you thought of us too? So we have a lot of problems.
Permit me to just, he said something, I just want you to, if you have a comment on that. Talking about, the U.S. government, other countries where, of course, you ensure that you empower the pockets of the people. Yeah. Therefore, they also fuel the economy. Yeah. It's like a give and take. It's a circle. In Nigeria, but the government is doing it now. They say they want to release another set of funds to put in the pocket
conditional
of Nigerians.
cash transfer.
Yes, on the social welfare program, and to ensure that people will receive something.
Well, they say that about 40-something billion have been transferred into more than 6 million persons. Yes. I don't know which of us have been beneficiaries here. So because I have not received money.
That's why I don't know. I want to
You're not in that bracket.
We are not in that bracket. Okay. So because the outright problem with Nigeria is a lack of accountability and transparency. To begin with, the issue of subsidy, the problem with the subsidy regime was not that Nigeria pays fuel subsidy. It is the corruption and criminality in fuel subsidy. That is what caused. Subsidy is paid in different forms in different countries. What you are talking about, U.S. government, social security is available as subsidies in different forms. Now, if you say you take out subsidy and there is no accountability for the money that is taken out, you have only diversified corruption and criminality. The question is the corruption in the oil sector gone? You have now moved more money into the hands of governors. Who is holding them accountable? Together, the state government and the federal government have shared trillions of naira since the subsidy was taken. Even some state governors cannot pay the 70,000 minimum wage. Before you talk about private sector, what are the tax incentives available to them? So across board, and then when you talk about every arm of government doing what they need to do, this same government that was talking about local government autonomy, trying to push everybody to believing that we wanted to empower the local government, allegedly went into a peace deal in a state like Rivers, where some of the decisions are that the legally and duly elected governor should not have a stake in the election of local government chairman. Why? Because a former governor and 6-7 cabinet minister will allegedly decide who will be local government chairman. From a government that is talking about local government autonomy and giving power to one individual to decide. So if you look at Nigeria...
But is that can we prove that, though? Are those not part? Why is there a sole administrator there? Have the people come out to tell us what is the peace deal? If they should come out and deny it. The governor went and read the riot act to his persons to stay away from local government chairmanship. What is it called? The suspended governors in Nalayi Fubara. He said that it is on record. So it is not hearsay. It is the statement of the governor. So if you look at Nigeria and you want to talk about our priorities as a nation, we are pretending to talk about governance when what we are doing actually is political businessmen at the helms of affairs. After 8 years of Buhari, Nigeria needed a surgical operation where you talk about the philosophy and what is it called, the political science, and then economics, the PPE, factor. But today in Nigeria, we have a situation where we are just budgeting 700 and something billion to renovate an airport. We are talking about renovating the underwater sectors of the Third Mainland Bridge again for another 3.6 trillion. After the same Minister for Works said in January that they had done a holistic review and that the entire underwater substructure had been taken care of about 45 billion. We are budgeting 15 trillion for a coastal highway that has no way. So you can see the priorities of this government when people are languishing in poverty and insecurity. As a people, we need to come together and decide where are we headed, what exactly are our values, and what do we want to reflect in governance.
And that brings me to...
Before we take that question, let's go on a very quick break. Okay. We have several other areas. I mean, we'll still talk about this, the posture of the government to show concern, and then we'll head over to INEC. But for now, let's go on a very quick break. There's more to come this morning. Stay with us.
You're welcome back to Breakfast Central, and we're currently looking at the proposed increase in salaries for public office holders and, of course, calls for INEC reforms. We have in the studio Mr. Peter Akah and also Mr. Theophilus Akatugba. Now, before we went on the break, I wanted to ask you a question. This is our 26th year of uninterrupted democratic experience, and we've changed personnel, we've changed parties, but we still seem to be in the doldrums. If somebody died in 1983, just before President Buhari took office from Shagari, and you read the headlines then, and you read the headlines in 2027, it will be the same. I'm going to fix road, provide water, the basics, and this is 40 plus years on. That shows you how much we've progressed as a nation. So we tried the military, it didn't work. Some will argue the military put us in this situation we're in now. And 26 years is quite a lot of, that's 2 decades plus to have fixed things and at least let's know what direction we're headed. So is it a Nigerian system problem, or is the problem with the people? Because they say that there's a saying that the people deserve the leaders they get.
Thank you very much. I think Nigeria, just what you painted, shows that we have done so many experimental governance style. We've gone into military, we've changed people. So Nigeria has not taken a look at the quality of its own citizens. It is the citizens that produces a leader. You can't get saints from demons. Nigerians are looking for some wonderful leader.
Messiah.
Yes, but the way we are structured, the way we interact, the nationals interact, the tribes interact, the disunity.
The critical mass of Nigeria.
Absolutely. Yeah. The suspicion among ethnic nationalities cannot produce any progress that we have dreamt of. What we dream of is too utopian for the people, for what we set up here. We look at everything from both religious, both ethnic, and we are so sick in it that we can't get the benefits. No nation that is not united, the way we are not united, can develop. Our developmental stride is marred by our disunity, and our disunity is formed in the heart and the sinews of the thought of Nigerian people. And so once we have that, you continue to wallow. That's why from people to people, all the coup plotters, they announced that they were fighting corruption. And another person come to sweep him away and accuse him of corruption. From point to point, we keep accusing each other of the same thing. All our problems have remained the same. Why is Boko Haram and all these crises in the north? Many years of underdevelopment of the human capital. Many years of neglecting the people, whereas the northerners hold sway in leadership. The kind of money that have gone to the north, what did they do with it when they have mass of human beings that they have not developed? They've not improved their life. Now those people are fighting the nation and fighting them. They see them among themselves, call them bandits. They know they are their children. And we have not been able to resolve that crisis till today. The entire place has become a marketplace of insecurity. Everybody's trading with it. The NGOs are doing business, the military people are doing business, everybody's doing business with insecurity. And so when people who go to the north, both those who do research, everybody's a huge marketplace. So the much money we've sunk into that place, we've got less result. And so the citizens go to our airport. If it's time for election, the entire electoral system is a marketplace. The electoral officers are calling politicians, I'm in town, I'm in charge of this, can we see? Sit in hotels and they sort you out. Go to the judiciary. The prosecutor is in business with the judiciary, asking that I'm sending this case to this lawyer. The man that is being accused has seen somebody. We have a problem. And if we don't cure that problem, and I'm looking, that's why when I come to Nigeria, I'm in Nigeria, I tell people we have done well. They say, why? Because the quality we have shouldn't have produced anything better.
So what you say?
But what I'm saying, I want to thank God. If I say electricity, you get into a community, and you see electricity generation and transmission people, they are selling cables, they are collecting bribe, they are selling you transformers, selling you meter that's supposed to be used to meter their supply. They sell it to you. And you expect electricity. If you have, won't you be grateful? Because that system shouldn't produce electricity.
So when you say that we have to cure it, what do you recommend?
Absolutely. That is what we call the National Orientation Agency for the first time is awake more than ever before. They put some more money there. They've been talking. We need more of that.
They need to do more.
We need to do more. Nigerians have not understood the structure of this nation. They don't even know the powers of the president, what he should do. Everyone is crying for what a local government chairman should have done. He is not even well aware. Our schools did not teach our people what structure of governance we have in Nigeria. Whereas somebody in the US or UK knows Nigeria even better because they teach their children how Nigeria is structured. You have to teach your people. Either they were not well taught, either because of the hatred for one another. The schools in the East are teaching something else, the schools in the West, everyone is teaching something else. And when we bring the citizens to the center, we work against each other, go to the ministries, everybody's fighting one another, taking advantage of one another. You bring a fight, it's about your tribe or your brother that takes the fight. We have a mess here.
Okay, let's, Mr. Akah, do you have any, additional response to that before we move into the INEC side of the divide?
Because, that even moves us into the INEC side of the divide, because that is actually the solution to... Nigeria has been living a lie. Nigeria, we are not as disunited as the politicians make it seem. In fact, a lot of the division in Nigeria today are stoked by political actors, purposely because you need to pit people against each other. We are not more divided than Americans, but where there are laws that govern people and everybody is held under account under the same law, people will unite. There is Spanish America, Chinese America, everybody is there. But in Nigeria, the problem is a lack of consequences and accountability. And whether it is a citizen's problem, I do not think that the national orientation is important, but Nigerians know what is good governance. The people in the north are suffering the same way the people in the southwest, the people in the southeast. Now, what is exactly the problem? A lack of accountability. It is not human beings that fight corruption, it is institutions that fight corruption. Nigerians have failed to fix the most fundamental aspect of our governance and democracy. The foundation of every democracy are free, fair, and credible elections. Why? Because that is the first line of accountability. It instills the desire to deliver on public office holders. There is nobody who knows that power will come from the people and that they have the capacity to take me out that will fail to deliver. Look at the US president, arguably the most powerful person in the world. He came in barely a few months ago, January 28th. He's in a hurry to deliver on his promises, immigration laws, foreign affairs, end the war in Ukraine. Why? The US system does not even give you 4 years. In 2026, 2 years, they will have something they call midterm elections. Either Senate or Parliament or House can flip to Democrats. It puts you in a difficult situation. That is where people, public office holders, believe that power comes from the people. Nobody will know that Nigerians will need to re-elect me in 2027 and will govern the way APC is doing in Nigeria. The hope and confidence is in a corrupt and criminalized electoral process and a corrupt judiciary. That is where Nigeria must put focus. Because if you fail to fix that system, whether there is a riot, there is a violence, there will have to be another government in 2027. So everything we are complaining today, like you said, since 1973, we will do it again on another forum. We will resubscribe for another Shege subscription by 2027 for another 4 years. So that is how it goes. The question is, for how long will it take for Nigerians to build a system to hold leaders accountable? From there, begin to reform your systems, because it is not a hopeless situation.
Okay, let's also make reference to the past elections. We just had the by-elections.
Yeah.
We have elections coming in 2027. What would you say are the lessons that we've picked? There are those who have, I mean, PDP has said, I believe they said something in the line of what we've seen in by-elections will not repeat itself in 2027. Do we have enough time between now and 2027 from all that you've seen with the by-elections, the off-cycle elections, you know, do we have enough time to fix Nigeria's electoral system? What do we need to do?
We have enough time to fix it. What we have learned is that Nigerian elections are now open to the highest rigor. Anybody who can rig sufficiently and maximally will get the office. And then when you are rigging against an incumbent who also has interest, you know that it's an uphill task. The solution is simple. It is not about somebody appointing INEC chairman. Anybody can even recommend the INEC chairman to the president, but the money to run that office, the bureaucracy, is something that we can tighten the news and frustrate you there. The problem is the transparency of the electoral process, from voter registration to voting to coalition of result or to transmission. INEC received 313 billion in 2023, and they said the game changer of the 2022 Electoral Act will be electronic transmission of results. On the day of election, February 25th, the professor in INEC said there was a glitch. Ladies and gentlemen, does any of us knows what caused the glitch up till today? At least if you have sincerity of purpose, when you commit that amount of money to a process to deliver on one critical issue, if it does not deliver, it should be a national consensus that we should know what happened and why we should not have further glitches moving forward. But that same character or that same person is still seated at the helms of affairs in INEC, and when he's replaced, he will be replaced with someone worse. So the best of man is man. Nigeria must go back and look at the Electoral Act, Section 60, subsection 5. The presiding officer will transmit the results in a way and manner as prescribed by INEC. No. Did INEC prescribe the way paragraph 38 of their guidelines? Electronic transmission is there. But the judiciary said it was not an omission to the Electoral Act. So there is ample time for us to close every loophole in the Electoral Act and then mobilize to ensure that you close it from judicial technicalities and Nigerians protect their votes in 2027. Anything other than that, we will just continue talking. Mobilization revenue might increase salary by 1 million %. The insecurity will explode. We will come back in 2027 because the persons who are managing these affairs are not interested in the governance. They are interested in coming back.
Do you agree with him?
To a large extent, but differ, especially when it talks about these reforms and reforms. I know that it's championing electoral reform. But you see, we just had a new, this particular one we used in the last election was also a product of some reform that we just had recently.
Yes.
And we tried it in one election. And our cry for further reform has also increased. That tells you about the human factor. It talks about institutions. Institutions are made possible by human beings. If you don't solve the defective standard of the Nigerian person, all your hope for a great election will be thwarted because the man is so weak that he sells his vote. He doesn't even know the quality of vote he's holding. He doesn't know what it is. And he sells it. In the last election, if transmission had a glitch at all, as INEC reported, as is possible with all technology, because if you rely on, that's why up to now, the US is saying they want to take away technology from our election. They want to make sure that the election is manual. They don't want mailing ballot and all of that. They are still fighting that matter. Look at Nigeria. In an electoral system where the people who you call your own agent will take money from the opposition and not bring you the result of a polling unit correctly, what is your hope as a politician? When your electoral agent, your own agent.
And that's the human factor you're talking about.
He went to the electoral polling unit to represent you.
And sabotage.
In that place, he took money from 2 other people and agreed to doctor results. Is that a reform that you can solve?
Yes.
No, hold on. Because the results are supposed to be with him. In Ghana went to polls with even an electoral act that is not as strong. What happened? The results were already known to all, including the vice president in power who lost and considered before the INEC announced. Is that not the quality of human beings? In Ghana, where I lived there for 20 years, there is no public holiday on election day. And people will vote, and the media houses will project the election. Every media house would have projected election. In Nigeria, it's such a big secret. Instead of for reform you should be talking about is that the media should be able to announce results by having people in all the unit to feed them back of the result they got.
Like
Today,
a data control.
Yes,
yeah.
but we don't have that. All the politicians are supposed to have their situation room. Are they not having it?
I think
because everyone is in a trade. We are all in a whoever can read the most. That's why they go to court even when they are sure they've lost to see whether they could see someone to bribe to talk. Even during election tribunal matters, you not see the kind of monies that are going on. See, we can cry for all reforms. So, if we don't understand that election have consequences, and we've been able to get the Nigerian man. In Ghana, they fought military people that were some people physically in order to prevent them from tampering with the election. The citizens take control of the election. They do not need a holiday. Primary school children can conduct election if Nigerians are ready for election.
So from what I've deduced from this conversation today is we've told ourselves some home truths about ourselves as a people, and it seems like doom and gloom. But I mean, it's just the reality. So my question to you both is there any silver lining? Is there any hope? They say hope is not a strategy. Are you positive that, we can change this system of corruption we're so used to? There's a generation of Nigerians that don't even know any better. And it's not because of lack of not knowing, and this is just what they know, that you're supposed to get into office, you're supposed to be corrupt, you're supposed to have a godfather. We've lost, look at the moral decadence in society. People don't have positive role models anymore. So is there any silver lining, any hope, any low-hanging fruits to change this?
There is. For example, the political parties, I'm sure they have so many members. If you have 1 million members, why are they with all the zest and the energy with which they do media work and advocacy? Get into the polling unit and see your votes and educate the people about the quality of their vote. Pay attention to movement of the people, because by the time you come into the media space, you make yourself popular, and when it's time for election, you don't have reliable agents. Your results are not even proper. And then when you even say that you've been cheated, you don't have evidence. In Ghana, where there was a problem with an election, the pink sheets from the units were considered, and they were looked at clinically, including the fact that our president was able, current president then gave them the forensic auditors that helped him. Then there was a major landmark matter where Akufo-Addo, who now finished ruling, was the one that contested that election. What I am saying, the INEC chairman, anybody can be INEC chairman. After all, he's not at any polling unit. So the results are brought. I see that even the politicians, because they know it's a big trade, they know that it's about a rigging bazaar. They know what they're doing.
I want to push back on that. You said anybody can be INEC. Sorry, before you jump in, you said anybody can be INEC chairman.
Anybody.
There's been a call for that role to become an elective position, because they feel like he who plays the piper dictates the tune. And it feels like, because the presidency is typically involved in maybe selection of who becomes INEC chairman, right? Yeah. Exactly, and that can influence his participation in the election.
But if you elect a person also, is it not a process of electing him also that we're still talking about? Who are the people that will cast the vote? The same people don't know the value of the vote they are casting. The Nigerian man must know that every time you cast one vote, you are not casting a vote about just a deciding victory. You are casting a vote about everything about your life. For 26 years, anybody who has been in the democratic system, every 4 years is 4 years of your life. Every 4 years, another 4 years of your life. You are getting older, you are getting more despondent and more depressed because your nation's solution, you are not finding solution.
The reason why Nigerians maybe don't understand the value of their vote, like you said, is because they've experienced continuous disappointment over the years.
That is it. Because let us not make it seem like this is something that will go forever and without end. Because I agree to the extent that you said we had an electoral reform before. In fact, there is a saying that if you want to see how corrupt a country is, look at the number of laws. Laws for everything, but the problem is the enforcement. But he even made a statement that still points to the fact that there is need for electoral amendment or electoral reform, because in Ghana, you are able to get evidence of electoral, irregularities. In Nigeria, the onus is on the politician to prove, even when INEC has those, materials. And INEC will now frustrate you. In fact, it will seem like you are taking both INEC and the ruling party to court. The question is, let us not make it seem like Nigerians do not know exactly what to do with elections. If there was no glitch, is it possible that the outcome of the 2023 elections could have been different? There was vote buying, there was probably rigging, there was whatever. But could the election result be different if there was no glitch and if that system had worked? When we talk about election and building electoral process, there is mischief on the part of politicians. The current president is a beneficiary of the June 12 struggle in 1993. What did President Tinubu learn from the 1993 mandate? Did Nigerians not know about electoral reforms or we were not more aware in 1993, more than about 2 years ago? How come they were able to queue up to file behind a candidate that had a national spread? Nigerians know what to do. There is no system to support what they want to do. Even the late President Yar'Adua, who came in 2007, admitted clearly that the elections that brought myself and President Jonathan were flawed, and we are working to improve on them. Unfortunately, he passed, but President Jonathan took it a step further and signed the 2011 Electoral Act. The problem we have had is that we have had a consistent government from President Buhari and President Tinubu who have no interest in building or improving that system. It is not rocket science. The National Assembly knows. The presidency knows. What will change the prospects of Nigeria's election is an electoral revolution on the part of the people, insisting that the right thing be done. Because if we wait forever, we will try to say, oh, we are doing this, there is this problem. No. What caused the glitch? Can we fix that? Can we protect that system? Nobody should say that technology would not work. If technology does not work or systems are prone to hacking, why have they not hacked the account of central bank? Why have they not hacked the account of the ruling party? The only systems...
That is too simplistic.
No, hold on, sir.
Just a minute.
No, sir, hold on. The only systems that do not work in Nigeria are the systems that political actors do not want to work. DRC conducted elections using technology. Senegal, South Africa. What is happening to the giant of Africa, more than 200 million people? We are not saying innovate, adopt existing innovation. Nigerians must put their mouth or their legs and feet on what we want to ensure that system works. It is very possible and can be done even before 2027.
All right.
We're too immature to rely on technology to carry our election, and to do so will be risky. Your election could be taken away from you. In fact, the system is not even owned by Nigeria as a nation. We're relying on Amazon. That tells you that we can't put the sovereignty of a country in the hands of simply technology. That's why... Just a minute. No, what I'm saying is that technology do fail. As big as no way in the world, even the INEC, you have seen banks in Zimbabwe where monies were filtered out of people's accounts. Failures do occur. And so we know it's quite... it's passionate to say technology. You can't throw an entire country's destiny in the hands of just technology. That's why the paper ballot is still the most reliable. We should grow gradually. Even in the UK, they didn't go into internet and technology banking for many years. They didn't. Even till tomorrow. Money transfers in many of those countries do not take place immediately. We were very much ahead of many countries. The truth is that you have to, we should not be too much in a haste, thinking that because of that glitch they mentioned in that election, therefore, if we just solve that problem, the result will just show that...
So I don't think it's just about that.
I'm saying that our anchor, glitch, makes it first. Did the election not take place physically? So that is where I believe You should be able to bring all your results.
So I don't
apart
think
from
about,
the glitch.
But
I
you
don't
talked
think it's just
about
about
The glitch is there.
Just to-
It's to only transmit the result.
Just to
but
push
the
back
result
on
was the vote.
You talked
Just to
about
push back on
Ghana.
something that you said, isn't it insanity doing the same thing over and over again
Like
and
what?
expecting the same
Like
result?
what?
We've conducted our elections in the same way over the past
No,
3
but
years.
we have improved
The
it.
only difference in this last election will be the introduction of some form of technology
Beavers.
and the electoral
No, it's the
reform.
transmission of result portion that we're talking about. What I'm saying is
With all
the
due
failure-
respect, the issue of technology is not an issue of discussion. INEC itself told the National Assembly. National Assembly called NCC to say, do we have enough network or technology to carry out electronic transmission? It was the current INEC chairman who wrote a paper saying that we are only looking for a law to back up what we are already doing. INEC has a position paper A on the INEC website that talks that since 2011, from the time of Jega, the former INEC chairman, Nigeria was prepared to use technology. It had been tested in off-season selection in Edo, in Osun State, and in other places. So what Nigeria is doing was just an implementation of what INEC says. So it should not be in our place to decide whether the electoral umpire can use this or that. If the umpire said, this is something I have tested and will implement, what is stopping them from doing it? So we must, as a people, now look for, instead of sitting down and saying that technology would not work, we must look for a way for it to work. Because as you have rightly said, repeating the same thing and expecting a different result will be putting us, in what position? We can do it if we want to do it.
Yes, but my advice is that you don't rely on just a technological piece to rely on to give credibility to our election.
It's a holistic reform.
Election, yes. The election is credible in different stages. If one aspect fails, should not, otherwise there could be national chaos. If just because you rely on one piece of technology, it's good to have it to smoothen, to hasten the process.
Yes.
The vote counting process have not been digitized. We also need to do that so that you don't have to manually be counting. So we have a lot to do. However, if our people, if we are good as a people and we do dutifully what we are assigned to do, respecting one another, results of election will not be as bad as they are, because the politicians themselves should do more than they are doing currently. There's too much noise, there's too much hue and cry, because if I don't believe this INEC is as good as I want, I will not feel the candidate to an election they conduct. For them to be mobilizing to go to an election that such a defective body is conducting shows that they have confidence in that body.
I think if I'm to look at what our two guests have said, I think pretty much, what I would like to know, we're pretty much saying the same thing. The difference is, I think from your end, you're looking at the technology driving it. I think for Mr. Akatugba's end, is looking at the morality of the people who eventually man the technology at the same time. Because if the morality of the person that will man the technology is not good, he's waiting for a bribe, no matter how you use the technology, he will glitch it himself. And we saw that in 2023, when the copper was told, open the thing, and she said, no, I can't open it, and they were like, why? So, where do we go from here? I think we have less than...
My call always is that if you have the greatest burden of a leader is the followership that you have. If the quality they are, the average Nigerian politician, with all his good intentions sometimes, is frustrated by the quality of people. And it turns around to not do what they want. I have seen a politician that went to say, want to build something in his community, somewhere in Isoko. Do you know what they did? The young people came into the hall and stood by. After finishing, they said, oh, God, please, we don't want this your story. That money, please. You see our youth leaders here, we want the money to sort. He had to bring mobile policemen to get out of that village. And that project never happened. I've seen where Udwagan built a children's hospital in Delta, and he named it after, it was Ibori, he named it after his wife. On the day of inauguration of a children's center, because it was named after Ibori, what happened? The youth came and sacked everybody, and that hospital was cancelled, and today PFM is the owner of that place, Pentecostal Federation of Nigeria. The children's hospital project cancelled, all the equipment rusted away. Is this not followership? Won't you understand that a name does not make a difference? It could be changed in future. We must understand. You see, passion is good, activism is good, but sometimes we should make sure that we know the people we are fighting for. Are they with us in this activity? Do they believe in it?
Looking at our population and the people that are coming up, the systems they've been exposed to, where is that change going to come from? Where do you begin to reform the minds? There are 30-years-olds that have no clue of anything about what is right or wrong. No moral compass.
If Nigeria does not build
does that not give you a
system-
sense of hopelessness?
No. Nation building is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Whether you hit a dead end, you must continue to try. That is what Nigerians will fail to understand. You cannot achieve all change at its time. You can pick one and begin to build from there. When we talk about, Nigeria must build a system where there are consequences for bad behavior and there is reward for good behavior. If somebody intentionally, for a reason, there was a glitch, the question is what happened to whoever caused the glitch? What did you do about it? If a system that nurtures criminality will get criminality, and do not think that Nigerians as followers do not know what to do. Sometimes these statements may be true that people will demand from their leaders. It must begin with leadership by example. Look at the state of Abia, for example. The governor went to commission a road and saw some children that were, hawking and the rest. And he asked the child, why are you not in school? They said, no, they are on holidays. Why? Because he has fixed the educational system such that even somebody who does not pay school fee or does not have money should not have an excuse. The reason why citizens will continue to prey on the leaders is because they know that the job they are supposed to do, they are not doing it. So let us share it. Nigerians are the most understanding followers. Once they see a leader that has vision and direction, look at what happened to President Buhari. People believed that he was moving in the right direction. For 6 months, he had no cabinet. Nobody mentioned anything because they expected or they thought that he had an imaginary or illusionary integrity that will fix the system. In the long run, it claimed to be, what it was. So Nigeria's problem will begin by a citizen that are knowing or well knowledgeable about what to expect and what to demand, and then holding to account the public office holders and getting a system where if they go there and fail to perform, they can take them out and bring in persons who will, mirror their ambitions and their missions. Anything other than that is just going around in circles and waiting forever.
Gentlemen, we have come to the end of this very intense conversation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Feels like a national conference.
It feels like a new central confab, breakfast central confab. Theophilus Akatugba and Peter Akah. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. And to our audience, of course, you can continue your conversations on YouTube. We're streaming live at News Central TV.